So I put together a little preview of how I'm starting my watercolor painting. The light blue tape is easier. It's kind of like washi tape. It's a little less adhesive on the watercolor paper. So when you take this off, it should release without damaging the paper. When you're starting out, any areas that are white, you don't want to put water on. So what I did with that smaller brush is I went around what looked like my sunspot and left it dry, and then I took the larger brush and I wet the paper so that I can do a wet on wet wash. Now, remember when you're starting, you want to start with the lightest values. So you can see here I have some yellow, orange, and it's Persian blue. So I have my complement to my oranges. The sky has a lot of orange in it, so I'm trying to dull the orange, and the one way you dull it is by using the complement. So blue is the complement of orange. If you put too much in it, it will turn green, which you don't want a green tinge. So right there, I put too much in it. I'm cleaning out my brush and I'm going to pull some orange to another location. And then probably what's just in my brush still, actually you can see it dulls the orange or it makes it kind of rusty color. The thing is when you are looking at putting colors together, you have to think about warm and cool. So I'm going to pick up some alizarin crimson, and I'm going to put some alizarin crimson on my palette too, because I don't want that green to happen into the sky. So I've got to make a value that is a little bit closer. So I'm taking the alizarin crimson with the blue and making more of a violet color. So when I'm looking at it, I'm seeing this kind of dullness. Obviously, you want to test it on your paper. You'll see right there that I test the color. One thing that I should have done that I didn't do is I didn't make a lot of the color. So you don't want to run out of the color that you've mixed. So you want to make sure, because that brush had a lot of water in it, I lost a lot of the color. And so I'm probably going to have to mix more. So again, when you're mixing your colors, test it on the outside. When you finish with this assignment, obviously the outside is not going to be there. It'll be under the mat, or we'll trim it down. So again, I'm testing my colors. I'm trying to get my sky is kind of a orange, dull orange, and then it gets a little bit brighter as it gets towards the sunspot. So I'm trying to work wet on wet. One thing you need to remember is that wet on wet has to be a little faster. You can't just take a lot of time, because if the paper dries out, it's not going to blend. The other thing is, if when you finish you feel like your colors are not strong enough, you can always go back and do another layer. So again, I keep adding more pigment to my color, and I keep making the color a little bit stronger each time. And again, I'm just adding the color where I think it's going to go. If my line is not soft enough, I can add a little water on the edge and I can soften that color. So there you can see I added more pigment because I wanted it to be a little stronger towards the bottom. I also need to add a little bit of the yellow into the sunspot area. So again, I'm going around where the paper is dry, because I want that right now to stay very bright and the white of the paper. There I'm softening the edges and I'm trying to blend it in to the area. You don't want to see brush strokes when you're doing wet on wet. If you start to see the brush strokes, then that means that your paint and the paper have started to dry, and you need to leave it alone, be patient, and then put another layer back on top. If you're not sure how to blend colors, it's real important to go back to your color wheel.